This is Aging by the Bay, here to provide families in the San Francisco Bay Area pertinent information about healthy aging practices and services. Your host is Ajay of ComForCare Home Care.
Good morning and welcome everyone to Aging by the Bay, where we provide families in the San Francisco Bay Area relevant information about healthy aging practices and services. I'm your host Ajay from ComForCare Home Care. With ComForCare, you can give your loved one the best life possible, thanks to complete in-home care for every stage of life. Find out more at comfortcare.com or call us at 800-886-4044. At Aging by the Way, we talk about joys and some of the challenges of growing older in the Bay Area. We talk to experts about what they see happening as people age, as well as the services that are available that you or your loved ones may not be aware of. First of all, I want to thank our sponsor, A Love for Seniors, who specializes in helping seniors find residential care homes, assisted living facilities, and memory care assistance. You can contact them directly at 1-800-850-9102. Their website is www.aloveforseniors.com. And again, their number is 1-800-850-9102. Today, we are going to talk about a very important topic, which is insurance. And it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Bill Evans, who is the owner and agent of Bill Evans Insurance Agency Incorporated, located in Pleasanton, California. Bill is a licensed insurance agent in California. He holds property and casualty, life and health, and Series 6 and 63 California insurance licenses. Along with many other awards, Bill is a 5-time Farmers Insurance District 58 Agent of the Year, 16-year Topper Qualifier, and 4-time Championship Agent. Bill has earned both CLU, Chartered Life Underwriter, and CHFC, Chartered Financial Consultant designations from the American College. Bill has 19 years in the insurance business. Bill and his team are a multi-line insurance agency providing all lines of insurance. Their focus is treating their clients as if they were members of their own immediate family. So, Bill, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Ajay. Thank you for inviting me to be here with you today.
So, let's jump into, because insurance is such an important topic, and a lot of times, if we are not well planned or well prepared, it may be too late. So, I want to ask you, what scenarios from an insurance point of view would seniors be concerned with? So please tell our listeners some of the things you have seen in your professional life that people should be aware of.
Great question. Thank you. Insurance is the cornerstone of financial security, and it's very, very important. I think that many seniors, especially after having a lifetime of driving, can kind of get lulled into this false sense of security that, oh, I'm a good driver, I'm a safe driver, I've never had an accident, I don't drive at nighttime, I drive very slow, I only drive a few thousand miles a year, so insurance is not going to be a big factor in my life. But the problem is that accidents happen. They're called accidents because they're not on purpose. And it's critically important that after a lifetime of saving and investing and then living off of that savings, that a senior knows that that can't get taken away from them if something bad happens. And so when an accident happens, that they're not financially devastated by it. Or if they have a house fire, that they have sufficient insurance to pay for the repairs to their home. So that is a critical, important thing that seniors should be aware of is their liability exposure. So a senior can sit down with their chosen professionals, whether that be their attorney or their CPA or their insurance agent or the whole team of them, and complete a liability exposure worksheet. And on this worksheet, they would be listing assets that they have accumulated and any income that they're receiving and then that all gets calculated, and they say the bottom line, this is how much they have at risk. So it could be really common for a senior who's been with their same insurance program for many, many years and hasn't reviewed it to find out that they maybe have $100,000 of liability protection driving their vehicle, yet they have $500,000 worth of assets. And what happens if the unthinkable happens? We live in a very sue-happy place.
Right.
And many attorneys are very happy to represent people that are injured and go after the people that are negligent. And so I feel it's my job as an insurance professional to not to sell insurance, but to advise clients about what are adequate liability limits. Because when you have adequate liability limits, you get the peace of mind that insurance brings you, and if something bad happens, you don't lose everything you have.
Yeah, you're so right, because even in mail, we get so many letters from different attorneys talking about all kinds of things, and sometimes they get information about whatever happened recently, and they'll say, hey, if this happened, we can represent you.
Absolutely. And there'll be an attorney, and I have many friends that are attorneys, so I'm not disparaging them in the least way. But what they do is they look at situations and they say, what can I get out of this? Right? So if it's a minor accident and there's not too much injury and somebody comes to them to be represented, they're probably going to ask for a retainer fee and want to be paid. But if they look at something more serious, then they're willing to take it because they know that they're going to get paid out. I was recently at a conference in Denver, an insurance conference in Denver, Colorado, and we were told that 5 years ago, only 25% of bodily injury liability cases were represented by attorneys. And today, 5 years later, in California, that has jumped to more than 50%. So it's something to really be concerned about. And auto accidents that are represented by attorney representation collect larger payouts.
Right. And when it comes to seniors, it becomes all the more important that we know when it is safe for them to drive and all those kind of things. And if they are working with a team of professionals, probably those things can be sort of discussed and help can be provided.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, insurance is one of these subjects that we bleed into other subjects as well. And so when I alluded to the team of professionals that you work with, your investment advisor, your CPA, your attorney, all those things incorporate, and the family as well, the children or the beneficiaries. I know it could be very difficult for family when it comes time to take the keys away from mom and dad.
Yeah.
It happened in my own family years ago, and it was something that has to be handled with love,
Absolutely,
and with no judgment at all.
Yeah. This is excellent information. Now, moving on, we can broadly discuss few scenarios, because if we see out there can be retired people who are financially strong. There can be retired people with moderate retirement income. There are also retired people with low retirement income. And there are seniors who are still actively working for various reasons, whether they love their work or they're forced to work because they have certain financial responsibilities. So can you please highlight challenges each of these scenarios can potentially face?
That's a great question. And each of these scenarios are out there in the real world today. And what I'm about to say about those things, they all kind of blend into one another as well. Some, the person who's financially strong may have a more important reason for estate planning, but the person who has a low retirement income and maybe no assets still has to do some estate planning. So those things that are important would be estate planning. So, I would recommend that seniors and all people, but particularly seniors, work with a great attorney to do estate planning. And that estate planning not only says who gets their stuff after they're not here any longer, but it also provides for an advanced medical directive so that when end-of-life decisions need to be made, they're made with the decision that the senior has made. And also whether that be to prolong or not prolong life. And also it provides the family or the beneficiary with the power of attorneys that become important when the senior is incapacitated or after the senior's passing, when it comes time to transfer assets. So that could be done with a revocable living trust, and the senior never loses control of their assets. But then they get to make it easier for their family or their beneficiaries to receive those things later on. For the people that are financially strong, with high assets and maybe high income even during retirement years, there's plans that they could do insurance related. They could leverage their money and they could purchase permanent life insurance that can leverage their money into a larger sum of money,
right,
and pass it along to their beneficiaries in a very tax efficient way. For the person who has no assets and very low income, maybe they don't want to leave a burden to their family for their final expenses. So maybe in their case, they should even consider having a small $10,000 or $15,000 permanent life insurance policy that is telling their family, "Hey, I didn't have a lot, but I didn't burden you with paying for my final expenses at the same time."
So true.
For retired people with moderate income, very often we'll see that one person was a career worker and the other person worked part-time or was a stay-at-home person, and so there's only one pension coming in, if there was a pension. And what happens when the person that's receiving that pension is gone?
Yeah.
Okay? If they chose the wrong selection in when they did their pension choices, that income stream goes away for their surviving spouse and can often leave them in a poverty situation. So there's a lot of reasons to do estate planning, and if you haven't done it yet, it's never too late as long as you're still here.
Yeah.
To sit down with a trusted professional and talk about these things.
Very good. Yeah, this is really valuable, and a lot of planning is required, and I like it. I mean, you're absolutely correct when you said it's never too late.
Right.
The time is now. Yeah, so the best thing is to always plan well. But unfortunately, in cases where seniors are not covered properly and say they are no longer in a position to act on their own, maybe due to health or financial issues, what can their kids, family members do to make sure they can face any challenging event that may occur down the line?
Another great question, and they're not easy to answer these questions because of family dynamics. And, there are many people that don't want to face their own mortality. And the way that they face it is by ignoring the subject and not dealing with it. And it really becomes a burden for the family when that occurs. So I encourage families to have healthy discussion. Both of my parents are deceased, but I had healthy discussions with my parents prior to that, prior to their passing, so that I would be able to carry on what they wanted for their final wishes and how they wanted their estate, their modest estate distributed. But so once again, a revocable living trust that includes an advanced medical directive and power of attorneys can handle these types of situations where the senior may become incapacitated or suffer from severe dementia or Alzheimer's and not be able to make good decisions for themselves any longer.
Yeah. There is one thing that a lot of times we see people living this world, but when it comes to thinking about ourselves, sometimes we just, as you said, we don't even want to think about it. Some people consider that to be very negative or sort of, okay, whenever it will happen, we'll see. So they don't even want to sort of give it a thought about it. So
that's absolutely true. And, doing this professionally, I tend to look at it a little bit more pragmatically, that all of us have an expiration date, and we hope it's going to be later than sooner. And but I want people to plan accordingly, and that means that protect the assets and income that you have accumulated from being taken away from you if something negligent or bad happens in your life, and then two, having your wishes met when you're not here anymore.
Yeah. So it's not about being negative. It's actually be positive and hope for the best, but at the same time be prepared for the worst.
That's right. I mean, I think that's a really good advice to give people.
Yeah. So talking about advice and suggestions, we see there are so many insurance providers and there are so many options available. Now with this online thing, there are, you can go on the computer and just type something and you can get online quotes and whatnot. And even in terms of companies, there are so many companies out there, so many agents out there. So if I or anybody out there is looking for some insurance advice policies for the family members or for say, let's put it this way, why should anybody go with Bill?
Well, here's a loaded answer for you because it has a lot of facets to it. We live in this world today where many people are buying online, and they buy online. And interesting, I saw a news story the other day that says that people are going to brick and mortar to look at whatever they want to see, and then they go back to their home and then they buy it online. Well, it's not so much that way with insurance, because insurance, like I said earlier, is the cornerstone of financial security. So trusting an internet quote and having the service that comes along with it after an insurance policy is purchased are completely two different things. A great deal of what I do in my agency is I design insurance programs that specifically meet my clients' needs. Not everybody's needs are the same.
Right.
Some people, have completely different needs. They have big mortgage or no mortgage. They have a lot of beneficiaries or no beneficiaries. They have high income or low income. And each one of these situations will require a different solution. So after I build the program for them and we set it on its course, then what's the next most important thing is to conduct annual reviews, or more often or less often, depending upon the customer's needs, as life changes occur. Because as your life changes occur, then your needs change, and your program should change accordingly. So we build a program that has the least amount of gaps and overlaps of coverage and provides the coverage limits that are effectively protecting your assets and income. And then, maybe the most important, even though I think that's critically important, what I just said, is that we're there to hold our customers' hands when the bad things happen. Because when the bad things happen, whether it's, a house fire or a broken pipe that floods the house, or a bad car accident or a premature death, or any number of other things that can happen, to give somebody an 800 number to call and say, okay, call them and they'll take care of it, that's not the way that we do things. We are there with our customers. I physically go out to the homes oftentimes when there's larger claims, and I meet with the adjuster and the customer at the same time, and then I stay in constant contact throughout the process. When the automobile accidents happen, I'm filing the claim with the customer, I'm setting them up with the shop, I'm setting them up with their rental car. I'm doing all these things and not just letting the customer figure out how to do that.
By dialing the 800 number.
By dialing the 800 number, yeah. Absolutely. So, working with professionals is super important. You can't get your dentistry done online. And although you could probably buy an iPhone online, recently I just upgraded from an old iPhone to a newer iPhone, and I physically went to the Verizon store to look at them because I wanted to see the different features and models and hold it and touch it, and then I went back to my home and I bought it. I don't think you could buy insurance that way, because when you call whatever 800 company, you don't know who you're talking to, and they're not building any relationship with you. When somebody calls into my office, my assistant, Jessica, is going to answer the phone, and if they want to pay their bill or something like that, she'll talk to them. But if they want to talk to me about whatever they want to talk about, the call goes right through. And I am there for my customers. And I recommend that when somebody is choosing an insurance agent or a trust attorney or an investment advisor or a CPA for their tax, that they work with somebody face-to-face and not do business so much just with internet.
Right. You live in Pleasanton, right?
I do.
And I was looking at your intro, and it's good. Like some of the things that are coming out, it's like naturally you're a family man and a caring person, and as your intro reflects, like you are married, your wife's name is Linda, and you are celebrating 37th anniversary next month. So congratulations!
Thank you. Yeah.
And you have 2 adult daughters, and both are married with children, and so you have 3 grandchildren. So it's all about, like, when it comes to insurance, it's just not that, okay, we have something and we just will see, and it may not happen, we just keep it. It's more like we can rely on a person. So I guess what you just mentioned is that when we are looking for an insurance agent, we need to see that that person can really help me, and at the emotional level and at professional level when there is a need, and can understand what I'm going through and then help accordingly.
Price is an important factor for everything. With insurance, value is equally as important as it is with many other things. Somebody once told me, if you were buying a parachute, would you want to buy the best one, or would you want to buy the one that had the lowest price? And if you think about it, I don't think anybody would want to strap on a parachute and jump out of an airplane and say, well, I got the lowest priced parachute I could possibly buy. And not to say that it costs a lot to have good insurance, but what it does is when you have a trusted person that's experienced and knows what they're talking about giving you the advice, it gives you that extra peace of mind. I have a good friend who's a trust attorney, and he says, do you want to buy your living trust from a trust mill, which he calls them, or like an internet company, and then only to have your beneficiaries find out after you're not here that the power of attorneys don't work?
Yeah.
And I also have a good friend, John Hall, who's a financial advisor, and John says, so his customers say, then they won't have to say, if I'd only known. So you don't want to find out after the fact, after something financially devastating occurs, that your insurance program was not created correctly.
So true, so true. So, listeners, if there are any questions or you want to have further discussion, please feel free to call Bill at 925-469-1111. Again, it's 925-469-1111. So thank you, Bill. This has been really useful, and I'm pretty sure listeners out there got very good information today.
Thank you for having me here today, Ajay. It's been my pleasure to be here.
So, thank you for joining us on Aging by the Bay today. This show was brought to you by ComForCare and A Love for Seniors. This weekly show provides information that helps our seniors age better. Please visit our sponsor's website, www.aloveforseniors.com. You can contact them directly at 1-800-850-9102. We hope that you enjoyed the show, and please subscribe to our podcast that is available at iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. You can find this show and also previous shows at our website, agingbythebay.com. We love your feedback, and so please leave your comments. If you have any question for our featured guests or want to become a featured guest, please contact us by sending an email at info@agingbythebay.com. Again, a big thank you to our sponsor, A Love for Seniors, and to ComForCare Home Care. This has been an Aging by the Bay show, addressing issues on aging and services available for our elderly population. We will be back next Saturday at 10 a.m. Until then, take care and be safe.
This has been Aging by the Bay with Ajay Sani, addressing issues on aging and services for the elderly community. Join us again next week for Aging by the Bay.